Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming along to this evening's webinar. I just had a moment where your screens will have gone all kind of Doctor Who and weird, so I do apologize for that. Welcome to everyone who is watching us live, and welcome to you guys who watch the recording as well. Really excited for tonight's webinar. We've got three wonderful gentlemen who are going to share a great story with you. Lovely to see Tony's here. Please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat if you want to say hello and where you're from. I'm just going to pull up the slides now. And find the slides. I just lost them. Here we go. Okay, just going to share this. And I think what I've done is I've really cleverly just closed down the slides. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll reopen them in a second. And in fact, what I might do is just introduce the guys from Amaroo School in the ACT. And the guys tonight are going to talk about empowering learners in a Chromebook school. This is a story that I was lucky enough to here previously, and I was really lucky to spend the last 2 days of last week with Tim and Ian from Amaroo at EduTech, which was a lot of fun. And this story for me is incredibly inspiring, so I'm looking forward to this. So let's get going. The agenda for tonight is some introductions and updates. Then the guys are going to talk a bit about the school context, who they are and why it mattered. Aztecs, the genesis and revolution. So you're going to find out who the Aztecs are and how it all started and what happened, and then where to from here, because this is really a story about technology meets humans and that whole idea of using technology to empower learners and young people, but then young people helping others to be empowered through the use of technology as well. So just one update I'm going to share from Google with you guys. If you haven't seen this yet, I really suggest you do. This was launched by Google last week, and it is called Be Internet Awesome. So it's a kind of campaign slash game slash a bunch of resources around helping young people to be internet awesome. So it looks at bullying, it looks at sharing, it looks at all of that digital safety stuff that is so important to us as educators and really important to our young people as well. So please do just jump on Google and Google Be Internet Awesome, and it will take you to Interland, a game for kids all around digital safety and digital literacy. So do jump on that. It is a really great resource, and I know that people have really raved about it in the last few days since it's been launched. So jump on that. So that's my update from Google. I am going to do the introductions. We have two speakers tonight. Tim French from Amaroo School and Ian Thompson from Amaroo School, and I'm going to get them to introduce themselves in a second, but we actually have a special guest. Now, teachers are obviously awesome, and that goes without saying. We're all sitting here thinking how awesome we are, but in fact, the students themselves are really what this business is all about, and we are delighted to have our special guest, a student from Amaroo School, Lachlan. As ever, please remember to go to the cog on the bottom right of your video settings if the screen looks a bit fuzzy. So if you go to the cog on the bottom right of the video screen and click on that cog, you'll then be able to choose the quality. And if you can change that to, you know, at least 360 or 720 or something like that, you'll be able to see the screen really clearly then. Sometimes it defaults quite low. And as ever, please feel free to drop your questions into the chat, and what I will do is I'll keep an eye on that chat, and as you guys drop in questions, I will stop the guys, potentially stop the guys at a good pause and ask those questions on your behalf. So I've got Judy in, so hi Judy from Nelson, and we've got Tony from Wellington at the moment. So we've got a couple of Kiwis there, and our numbers are growing as we talk here. So what I'm going to do then, let's just jump out of this sharing. Stop screen sharing. I've gone a bit infinity again, and I am actually going to pass across to Tim, Ian, and Lockie to introduce themselves and get us started. on their presentation for tonight. Thanks, guys.
G'day, guys. Welcome to those of you from New Zealand as well. A big g'day to you guys especially. I'm Ian from Amaroo, as mentioned before.
I'm Tim French from Amaroo.
And I'm Lachlan. I'm just graduated from Amaroo recently.
Yeah, so he's the real star. This is our student Lockie.
Absolutely.
So Lockie's gonna be a big feature tonight. So thanks a lot for coming.
Yeah, donating your time.
Having me.
Getting ready for his SAT. So
yeah,
big shout out to him. So thanks heaps for donating your time, pal.
Cheers.
I look after the technology here at the school. So it's part of my role to make things run smoothly with the technology. That's both the technical side, but probably most importantly for you guys out there, the pedagogy side and the teaching side of it.
So I look after student engagement and physical education here at Amaroo, and just a big fan of the way that this technological space has allowed me through the engagement portal and through the ASTECs to help me build something really awesome that we'll talk about later to make the job of student engagement and the pastoral care evolution a lot easier for kids to get access to help when they need it. So yeah, pretty awesome.
Fantastic. All right, Chris, if you're right, we'll jump into it. Awesome. So guys, what we're going to talk about tonight is we're really keen to share with you guys what we did with the students here at the school. So the students, one of the things I joke about a bit in my my presentations is that the students do a significant portion of my work. Is that fair, Lockie?
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
That's pretty fair.
Very fair assumption that majority of Ian's work is done by students at a high level, which is fantastic, and building the capacity of the students also. Yeah.
So Lachlan particularly is going to share tonight about how we made some of these things happen. So Amaroo School is the biggest public school in the ACT. We've had a directorate supported, and by directorate supported, I mean the ACT Education Department, which is like our state education service, has supported us with a GAFE and a G Suite program since 2015.
Just to jump in there, and when we say biggest public school, the numbers that we're looking at in students, we're looking at 2,000 students at the moment. And over the next 2 years, we're projected to go to about 2,400. So a bit of a rapid increase with that. So definitely a need for a platform such as the G Suite for us to adapt with.
And we have a really active student tech team. So the student tech team, or the ASTECs, and that's what you're going to hear about tonight from us, who contribute a significant amount around the school. We've got a pretty diverse clientele setting the scene. It's pretty diverse socioeconomics, context, fairly diverse cultural school, and as with all of us in education, limited resources.
Absolutely limited resources.
So what I'm going to do is, I suppose I'm going to start by really introducing January 2015. It actually started a bit before that, Lockie. Is that a fair point? Do you want to tell us about how you presented to our school principal and our ACT directorate about some of the challenges we had at the school? So what did you present to them, Lockie?
So in 2014, me and a few mates, we did a little bit of a study, and we took the amount of times it took the average Windows computer at our school to log on to the network that we have running here. And the average log on time was something around 20 minutes. And
absolutely phenomenal.
We were spending most of our class time waiting for our computers to log in rather than doing any work and just chatting with our mates, and would never get anything done, especially in English. I suffer from that now. The long-term effects still really plagued us.
Still plagued.
Poor Wi-Fi speeds and log on time.
So the key issue, Lockie, was really poor Wi-Fi speed, and you saw this as a real challenge. You and some mates got together, and you decided that you wanted to fix that problem. Now, how did you, it's really great to have an opinion as we talk about in education, but what was your possible solution for this? What did you do when you got this information?
Well, we didn't really know where to start. I mean, we were like 14 at the time. So we thought...
just to stop you there, you were 14 years old then?
Yeah.
14, great. Yep.
So at the time we thought, it's either the network, the connectivity is just terrible at our school, and or the computers were trash. And we were pretty sure it was that too, because they were running about Windows Vista still.
Yeah, wow.
So
so
we needed big changes at the school.
We did.
But limited resources.
Limited resources. So you pitched to our school, but who else was in the room? Did you know who they were at the time? You may not have actually known, but there were some other gentlemen in the room. Did you know who they were, where they were from?
I was told that they were like directorate, and they were from the ACT, like Department of Education. And that was about it.
So that's absolutely true. So Lachlan and his friends presented to our principal and some representatives that he didn't really know who they were, but they were directorate representatives. And one of the key challenges when and look, I want to give real credit to our directorate here.
Absolutely.
When they heard about this challenge that students were coming up against 20-minute login times, they went away and really worked on a solution. So over that end of 2014, that Christmas holiday period we have here in Australia, the directorate worked really hard to do a Wi-Fi rollout to our schools. And I think it's fair to say that although that was on the radar, I think, and I've heard from the gentlemen who were in that presentation, Lachlan, they were really impressed with it.
Absolutely.
And they've told me that student perspective really gave them even more impetus and even more drive to get something fixed. So I think I wanted to start with that because I think sometimes it's easy in schools for our students, particularly to tell us about the problems. But Lachlan and his friends were willing to suggest some solutions, not just to our school, but to our wider directorate, and to everyone's credit, and made a real difference.
Absolutely. Such a strong narrative there in terms of teachers. We used to whinge about the log on times and things like that. But when you've got a group of students who've taken time out of their day and really put some thought and some forward thinking into how can we make this better for everybody, not just at Amaroo School, but in terms of the ACT wide. So that's hat off to you guys, Lockie. That's a fair effort at 14 years old to have that sort of thinking and ability to go, hang on a minute, guys, let's spend a bit of time problem solve this to make everyone's schooling a bit easier. And as you say, it's definitely not helping your English at the moment.
No, it's not.
So we went bring your own device, and we went to a G Suite platform, which is fantastic. So we rolled that out at the start of 2015. We had hundreds and hundreds of students bringing their own device that their parents had really kindly purchased for them. We had a number of things put in place to support the bring your own device environment. If everybody's got any specific questions about that, I can talk to that a bit later. But essentially, setting the scene, we had a bring your own device set up. We had myself and our IT support person looking after this. And then inevitably, whenever you're doing something on the front and doing something a bit innovative, things went poorly.
Bit of Murphy's Law.
So it was Friday of week 3, term 1. I had hundreds and hundreds of these shiny devices that parents had purchased come in with their students. And suddenly they started to not work. How do I put it nicely?
That's
they started to not work.
They started to not work after we just encouraged our whole school community to go and spend good money on a decent device, and then the school platform just inevitably doesn't work on the day we launch.
That's great for me as the guy who's been making the calls and telling the parents how good this is going to be. So it stops working.
Phone was running hot.
It was great. It was Friday afternoon, and I had no answers. I left work not having an answer on Friday afternoon. Over the weekend, and I want to give some credit here to a colleague of ours, Andrew Beecher.
Absolutely.
Andrew and I we're actually mountain biking. We're out riding on the weekend. I was like, dude, what are we going to do?
How are we going to fix this?
How are we going to fix this challenge? And he mentioned that he'd been, there was a few students in the school, people like Lockie, who contributed towards the survey that they'd done. There was a few others that had a bit of technical nous and a bit of skill. So on a Monday morning, we literally walked around before school and grabbed these students. And Lockie, were you one of the first ones we grabbed? I think you came in a bit later.
I think it was a little bit.
Yeah. Lockie's got a story as to how he came into the ASTECs. I don't know if I want to share it live on air.
Yeah.
But
story for another time.
Yeah, Lockie, all I will say is Lockie had incredible talent. I don't want to use the word hacking, but I'm going to use the word hacking. And we managed to convince Lockie to use his talents for good.
Yes.
We won't. We'll move on from that.
We'll leave it there.
Went and grabbed a whole bunch of the students. We put them in a room, and we went through a process called design thinking. Design thinking is it's a really human-centered approach. It's a problem-solving technique, and again, I can answer any questions about that later if you want to. But the students ran a design thinking process, and they came up with a solution to fix the issue we were having. Now, one of the real challenges with the issue was that we had hundreds of students with this issue. Now, it was me, Sahel, and these 8 kids at the time. So we thought, you know what? Has anyone here ever had Chrome not work on their computer and you get the dinosaur?
Yeah.
You guys seen the dinosaur? Almost want to put up the dinosaur of death. If ever of you haven't seen, the students were talking about the dinosaur of death, okay? So that's when that dinosaur appears on your screen. You can actually play a little game.
Thank God for that game.
That's right.
Game kept people busy.
So students were already talking about the dinosaur of death, and you know how quick word spreads in a high school. So what we did is some of the kids dressed up as, we had a kid in a dinosaur suit. The kids went and bought those dinosaur jelly lollies, and they went around and implemented the fix to the hundreds of students that were having the issue. And we managed to get that entire fix done by the end of the week. I think it was by Thursday, the last computer was fixed. And that to us was that first moment of, hang on, there's something in this.
Yeah,
the students did a job that I never could have done by myself or with our amazing tech support person. And we realized that it was the students' learning environment and it was the students' context. So let's give them some of the power.
Absolutely.
They started off, they called themselves the Genii. I've got that up there, which is the plural of genius, because they were telling us that they were better than a genius bar, and their hashtag was so good we are plural. Now, I thought that was great, but
to be fair,
what do you want to say about that? What do you want to say about? Do you want to give any comment there?
A little bit cringy.
A little bit cringy.
Maybe also a blatant lie.
So well, I thought they were pretty ingenious, but you know, the arrogance of youth, shall we say? So I've just had someone ask. I'm just going to jump in. We've got a question. We've never had Chromebooks not work. It was seamless. What was the problem with Chromebooks? Just want to address that. It was actually our network.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the Chromebooks not working. It was our network. Keep in mind they've done a Wi-Fi upgrade of our big, geographically large school, and the network was having problems.
Yeah, it was connectivity problems with that.
Does that make sense? Tony, let me know if I haven't answered your question.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on. So this involved into the Amaroo Student Technical Experience Crew. Okay, they call themselves the Aztecs, and they came up with this awesome logo. Lockie's actually wearing the shirt tonight. So when we come back to you'll get to see the logo. But Lockie's actually wearing our inaugural Aztec
we've
shirt.
got it on a slide tonight.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
absolutely.
The shirt was important, and I'm going to talk about why it was important in a minute. But it really authenticated the learning for the students as it evolved. So the Aztecs kind of formed. We had that we had that forming. We had a bit of storming, but the Aztecs got going. So that's January 2015. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what did the Aztecs actually do? So they fixed that first problem. They fixed the dinosaur of death. Now I had this amazing group of students, and I thought, well, why don't I get them to do some of the work for me? And by some, I mean most. What do you reckon? What percentage of my work were you doing, do you think, Rocky?
I think it's a bit cruel to say it out loud.
You won't say it out loud. You're a gentleman, Lockie. You are a gentleman. There's not many of us left. Anyway, the reality was they were doing a percentage of my work. One of the first things they did was a job log page. And the reason we started a job log page was because we used Google Forms. Was that we found that the students were getting asked in all their classes to fix all the tech support, okay? And what we needed to do, we needed to protect our Aztecs a little bit. Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, we didn't get any work done. Not that we would usually, but
you got even less work done.
We got even less work done in class.
So what we did is we said, when the Aztecs are wearing their shirt, it's really important that you ask them a tech support question when they're wearing the shirt, or you log a job. That was to kind of protect our students from being overworked.
Well, let's see, we've got 130 teaching staff here at Amaroo, so rolling out the G Suite, as seamless as it was in terms of the Google side of things, but in terms of the connectivity and technical issues that some of our teachers were facing, it seemed very easy. And as it worked out, there was on average one of the Aztecs in most classes. So it was quite easy for teachers to just simply go, hey, can you come fix this problem I'm having, where in fact the kid was then missing crucial parts of work in class more so than normal.
And we do that. We all do it. It's easy. I know as a teacher, I'd rather just get my lesson started than learn how to do it. So the guys started, the guys and girls, I should mention as well. It wasn't just guys, there was girls as well. It was probably a 70-30 split.
I think so. There wasn't too many of us. It might have almost been 50-50.
Yeah, well, there you go.
50,
there you go. And they decided they wanted to do a bit of outreach with this stuff. So they started the Techie Brekkie. So you can see one of their advertisements there on the screen. And they went around and put these posters around. Tell us about Techie Brekkie, Lockie.
Oh, yeah. This
so good.
Fun. So we tried to really have this sort of teaching information session in the mornings before school, so that teachers and parents who were expressing a lot of concern at the time could come and learn how Chrome works and how all the things that their kids and students will be doing in class, and how to really run the show.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that Lockie's mentioned there was the parents too.
Absolutely.
We had, and look, as you can imagine, as a teacher, we started using the G Suite, which was really easy to use, and we were supporting them in it. But it was a lot to ask our teachers to kind of sort of pick up and run with straight away.
Quickly too.
Yeah.
So it is a really friendly software, and G Suite's amazing. You guys know that. We're not going to talk it up as much as we possibly can. But in terms of getting our community to buy in to what we were achieving, what Lockie and the Aztecs were able to do is on kid to parent level,
Yeah.
not a teacher to parent level. As always, there's sometimes, you know, a bit of
Yeah.
stuff there. It was a lot easier for the students to explain to the parents how to use some of the devices that their kids would be using in the classroom. So then when mum or dad's cooking dinner or whatever it may be, and the student has a bit of a problem, they can get that advice from the Aztecs and also grab free breakfast and coffee, which Canberra winters aren't that friendly, as you guys may know. Free hot coffee and a chance to
coffee was key, wasn't it?
Coffee is key.
It was key.
Coffee is the lifeblood of
That's
our
how you
teaching
get
community.
teachers to do a lot of things, and the Aztecs discovered that really quickly, which has probably helped them in the rest of their educational lives. Just had a question. Had a mixture of devices. Yes, when we went bring your own device, we were device agnostic. We said you can bring whatever you like. What we have found over the last 2.5 years is that more and more of those devices are Chromebooks, and we'll talk about why the Chromebooks have been useful. But did you guys ever have a Chromebook you couldn't fix?
No, I think we fixed every single Chromebook. I don't even think there was any computer we didn't really fix.
And that's pretty impressive. The only problems we ever had was with some of the other devices. You need an admin login and all that sort of stuff. But the great thing about these
Windows
students,
10 when that rolled out.
I wasn't going to say it, but that's from Lockie.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
But yeah, so really they found that students and teachers could get there, and parents loved that I could stand up at a bring your own device information night and say, hey, our student tech team here can fix your Chromebook. We were prepared to hang our hat on that. So that was really good.
And just to add to that, Ian, Lockie, you guys didn't have any formal training, did you, in terms of fixing these devices? It was kind of learn as you go?
Yeah, it was all self-taught kind of stuff we'd learnt at home from just liking technology and getting used to it and being brought up around it. And so we're just trying to teach what we had, like the skills we accumulated over the years of using it.
Yeah, awesome. So that's a really key point there to make, that these kids weren't taken out, given extensive training. They hadn't been deeply involved in tech. They had a very strong interest for tech, but not formally trained. And these guys were able to come together, use the design thinking that Ian talked about, and really problem solve such a crucial time at Amaroo in terms of, as I said, we've got 2,000 plus kids here, massive network. When it all goes down, and 8 kids and two tech guys can come together to problem solve and create a solution. I think that's an absolutely phenomenal success in terms of first year out. I think that's amazing.
And I think one of the things I'd add to that too is it doesn't just have to be technology. I think one of the things I've learned through this experience as an educator is really harness the passions that your students have. And I've got some students right now who are doing who are filming our winter concert as we speak. And even though I'm the teacher who allegedly supervises them,
and should be there,
and as you can see, I'm not there. So my students are out there right now doing a 4-camera shoot of the winter concert because they're passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And these were the Aztecs were passionate students. It doesn't actually have to just be tech support, but I really encourage people. Well, I know for me, speaking for myself, a great educational lesson for me was to really channel and co-design with my students. And I think that phrase co-design was something that's always existed in the Aztecs, even as we've gone further with it. We try and design it with the students. Bring your own device info nights. Cool. Do you remember those, Lucky?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, I remember that. That was good fun.
The reason he's sarcastically saying that was good fun while he looked off disparagingly was, so the whole thing about bring your own device, for those of you who might be using bring your own device in your schools, it's not always an easy sell.
Yeah.
And parents traditionally, and I suppose often think, right, the school wants me to buy something else. We're a public school as well. Keep that in
public
mind.
school.
And as much as I would talk about our co-investment, how we'd spent more money on technology since we'd gone bring your own device, we were doing all these things, parents would look at me and roll their eyes. So I would ask the Aztecs to jump in there with me and speak to parents at Bring Your Own Device info nights. And I can't say I'm so proud of the way they handled it. Fielding some really tough questions about bring your own device. And one of the things that we found is it really sort of dismantled some of that negativity around it, because when you've got a student up the front, a 15-year-old man like Lockie, one of the younger ladies, Jess, all those guys saying, we like to bring your own device because it is our device, it personalizes our learning, and it's crucial for us. When they're saying it, not me, it makes a big difference. Do you want to add anything to that, Lockie, like that experience?
Yeah, there was a lot of, I guess, angry parents out there that had directed a lot towards the teachers and not towards the subject. And so when we got up and we were able to speak, I feel like we were able to communicate a bit better about what was going on and how that we believed it helped us. And I think that really helped the parents understand when it was coming from, a child that could as well be theirs up there talking about how that they love technology and this is the way they want to learn, because it's more relevant in today's society to be using a computer rather than writing.
Absolutely, and that's such a crucial point as educators. We all know that if we can make it significant to the student, they're going to learn more about it. And if we can put that into real life context, look, 80% of the jobs that these kids are going to have in the future aren't even around yet. And that's an amazing stat that I read somewhere today. So to have these guys really, not selling it is the word, but being able to co-design it, dismantle that negativity around the go buy a new device because we need you to, more or less. It's really give the kids a voice, and I think that's a massive part of what we do in education. And of course, Ian and I are huge fans of getting the students to have a bigger voice than we do in the classroom. So.
Absolutely, because then they can do it. No, I'm joking. So what happened? So the students led the change. So people like Lockie were the ones advocating at both the school and directorate level, and that was huge for us. They really enabled the process, and it meant that things like the BYOD process enabled it to run smoothly, the G Suite, all this stuff that it still would have happened, but it might have happened a lot, would have been a lot tougher and might have taken a lot longer. And the ASTECs were a fantastic part of making sure that things were embedded into the school and didn't just, because one of the things that's really tough with technology in education, and a lot of you out there will understand this, you don't want it to be a trendy, fatty thing where it just happens for a while. Absolutely. People get on board. You have a few change agents really driving at the school. Then those teachers leave. Like I strongly believe that if I, left tomorrow, that the program would continue to run as is. Absolutely. And I really believe that, and I think it's part of that is because of the ASTECs and the work they're doing. What do you think, Lockie?
Yeah. Well, I think it's been really crucial in getting the school on its feet and being able to have somebody fix all these issues that we've come up with. And so having this student tech team's really taken the load off the teachers who don't necessarily know what they're doing with technology all the time.
It's true. That's from his mouth. It is absolutely true. Most teachers, we expect our teachers to be the jack of all trades. We expect them to be sociologists, psychologists, and we expect them to be technologists. And I think having the ASTEC supporting them has been, I think it's made them feel quite comfortable with it. They never felt like they couldn't ask you, did they?
Yeah, no, they would come up to us and ask for help, but they weren't always bothering us. That's the great part. Especially when
even teachers you didn't know, like early childhood teachers, that sort of stuff.
I had plenty of teachers come up to me during techie brekkie actually from early childhood, which was good. So we got to talk to them about the issues they were having and sort them out before they became a big deal with the parents.
Absolutely right. And again, as a P10 school, so our school takes 5-year-olds all the way up to 16-year-olds. Getting our students involved in that whole spectrum of the education was really cool too. Now, forging the future, this is something we've just started working on. We've started doing scenario planning. And so the whole idea with scenario planning is to be looking at evidence-based research around what could be coming up. That was a poor description. My dad, who does this for a living, is going to be incredibly angry at that. But Amaroo 2025, we talk about Amaroo 2025. We talk about if your brother or sister, and this applies to some of my students, is starting in kindergarten now, what's the environment going to look like in 2025? How can we start planning for some of that stuff? And to get the ASTECs thinking with that strategic, innovative lens over them is starting to really help them. And I've had other teachers say that it's that future focus has helped them ask some questions in their different classes too. So did you find it helped you in other classes?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I've done a lot better actually now that we did the ASTEC stuff and I was able to communicate with teachers and learn all these new skills. I feel like I've been better at school in general after the experience.
Definitely gives you more credibility when the teacher knows that you can absolutely fix all their tech problems in the class. Sometimes you're on those borderline things. So that's always handy to have. Another thing that I want to touch on, Ian, is that at Amaroo, we have a super supportive leadership team that really helps co-drive this. As you mentioned, the guys in the directorate are absolutely fantastic. And probably we probably can't praise them enough for the forward-thinking work that those guys did on the back end, as you said, over that 2014 Christmas break. That was absolutely phenomenal. That's giving us the chance. Well, we probably wouldn't be sitting here having this webinar without the hard work that yourself and those gentlemen did over the break. So hats off to you guys for that, because you've really enabled the school to move so far forward in terms of the technology presence that we have here. So
thanks, mate. I'm just going to slip you a 20 underneath there. So what we've done now is the ASTECs is now actually a subject. So it was like a club. It was, you guys would meet on lunchtime. You give up your own time. And it was so successful, we've now tied it to the digital technologies curriculum. So our ASTECs is now a subject. It's an elective, and they can do that as part of their elective structure. And the digital technologies curriculum is embedded in that. So the ASTECs are now actually a subject. The biggest problem we're having is they've kind of trained themselves out of a job now. One of the, that I mean that, and in that I was actually had my ASTEC class today, and we were talking about the fact that there's so few job requests now because students are fixing so many of the problems themselves. They're doing power washes. You'd love it, mate. Power washes. They're doing this stuff themselves. They're really, we've kind of
really built the capacity of the student population here, which is really awesome. And that there's not that lag time, as Lockie said at the start, where sometimes horrific 20 minutes waiting to start a lesson. Now kids can fix their own devices through what they've picked up, or someone in the classroom's had a bit more skill in around that. So it's never an issue.
Yeah.
And I'm a PE teacher. So I'm a PE teacher from heart. So you can imagine at the start when all this tech was rolling out, I was really like, how is this really going to help me day to day with what I do?
Yeah, talk about it.
And it's a lot easier now for me to help other teachers who might think, for instance, we use it in our wood technologies class. Now, I know technology is in the name there of the subject, but using bandsaws and stuff like that in regards to G Suite, how does that relate? Well, now we actually have a laser cutter, which is absolutely fantastic. And the kids are using the skill sets that they've picked up through using the G Suite to transfer that across into using a laser cutter to make absolutely phenomenal things here at school. But as a PE teacher, being able to take my tablet out onto the oval with a Google Sheet, being able to mark students as I see it firsthand on the oval, really makes it easier for me to have that up to date. And then I can give them the up to date feedback. So I think it's changed the way that I definitely assess my class.
Yeah.
And also that fresh set of eyes, like I'm marking it directly as I see it, and there's no lag in the feedback time. And as research says, the feedback that students get must be as quick as possible.
That Hattie stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Feedback.
So,
Lockie, tell us about your classes. What difference did it make in your actual classes?
Well, at Amaroo?
Yeah, at Amaroo. Well, I mean, so I just want to add as well, this is all, we have not prepped Lockie at all.
Yeah,
so Lockie is off the cuff. So you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
How did it impact you in your classwork at Amaroo?
Well, it was great getting to be able to have the backing behind Google Documents, because I've been using it since like year 8. I've been advocating for it, and it was great. So in class, the teacher would be able to bring up Google Docs, and everybody would be able to work together on it.
Yeah, it's that collaboration stuff right there.
So there's a lot more collaboration work at school, and that led to more student initiative to actually do work rather than sitting there and just scribbling pictures in their books.
And what about sort of keeping track of your work and that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, that was great. Never having. I remember once, I think it was in middle school, having the rain all through my bag and ruining all my books and all my year work for the semester that wouldn't get marked.
Just on that, Lockie, I'm actually not that teacher anymore that loses kids' assignments. They're not blowing out the back of my car as I drive.
I don't know if I believe that, because I've worked with Tim.
So now having it all done through Classroom, all my work is all in the one place. I can mark it off my phone if I want, if I'm on the bus on the way home, if I'm on the couch. Kids can contact me, although sometimes that can be too much. They've got that access to the teacher, which is more and more. But hey, we're passionate about what we do, and we're more than happy to help the kids out whenever we can. So it's just having everything in one central location really, really does change the way that I operate as an educator. So it's been helpful in keeping me in my career probably a lot longer.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I wanted to do is, look, a couple of things I wanted to touch on before we go to feedback. Tim, I want you to talk about the student engagement side. So what I'm going to do, if people are happy, we've got a little bit of time. So just before we finish up, I don't know if you've heard about this. Some of the ASTECs, so Lockie has now graduated. He was so awesome that we lost him. So went up to, bigger and brighter things, which is fine. That happens. But one of the things that Tim did is he started a student engagement site using G Suite, working with the ASTECs. Why don't you tell us about that? And while you tell us about that, mate, I might bring it up.
Yeah, perfect. So, and one of the problems that I had being the executive of the student engagement team, being a young leader, and being involved in the context that I was in terms of dealing with the pointy end students. So we're talking about all the high-end anxiety, potential suicidal stuff, self-harm, all of those real tricky behaviors, constant non-attendance. We had kids at the hospital school, all those different things. As again, I'm going to reiterate that we're a 2,000 plus kids school.
Yeah.
I looked after students from 6 to 10 in terms of the student engagement thing. So looking at roughly 1,000 students, and I had 2 youth workers, 1 psychologist 3 days a week, and myself.
Yeah.
So just touching on the needs and trying to get by every day was crucial, and it was critical. So as a young leader, trying to get more sleep at night.
Yeah.
I went and had.
So who did you go and speak to? As if I don't know.
So funny enough, I happened to be in Ian's class, which was the ASTECs at the time.
Yeah.
And we were having a bit of a side chat. Ian was my mentor at the time. Still is my mentor. But I said to him, I'm like, mate, I'm really struggling in how long it's taking my team to get through to the kids that are red flagging. Yeah. And it's worrying me. I'm having some pretty big stress levels in terms of this, of how I can meet the needs of the student population and really get them what they needed. And I think one of the ASTECs overheard me talking, because I do have quite a large voice.
That can't be right.
And they said, why don't you just make a portal through a Google site?
Yeah.
Like as if it was just
really obvious.
Yeah, like why haven't you done that already? And then we started throwing it around, and through that co-design, the ASTECs actually pitched to me to build me a portal through the use of G Suite and the new Google sites. They made it first on the old Google sites, and then when we went to the new Google sites, they were lovely enough to change it through to the new
Which was a pretty good effort.
So the kids built me a student engagement website for the Amaroo School.
Yeah.
What this looks like, Ian will get it up for you in a second.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't show you the real thing, so we're going to show you the
what I'll do is
scaled
I've
version.
just taken some bits off it so you guys can see what it looks like without it actually
without the
giving you
privacy
any,
stuff.
without any privacy stuff.
So we have to take all that sort of stuff off. We use it as a collection tool. We don't store our data on that due to our network and our directorate privacy laws at the minute, but it is a phenomenal collection tool. The kids were able to build it so that there was different login levels. So parents could log in, for instance, if mum and dad are having a rough time at home, there's been the death of a loved one in the family, or potentially a divorce, they can email in to the site. They fill in a Google form. The Google form then obviously expresses that data through to the sheet for me.
Yeah.
I'm able to see from that and rank my day in order of who needs critical care first thing, and then plan out both my youth workers' day and plan out who needs to see the psychologist first thing.
Which is awesome when you think about, I think what was great, it was the ASTECs, again, that like, it's easy just to see them as tech support, but they're not just tech support.
They're not tech support.
They're actually involved in the student engagement side of it. So they're involved in the pastoral care of their colleagues, which for me as an educator, it doesn't get better than that. Like they came up with that, they prototyped it, and they did this student engagement site that meant that they were actually tangibly helping their friends who might have issues around this stuff.
Absolutely. They promoted it. They pitched it through to me. Yeah. We then pitched it through to the principal at the time.
Yeah.
I had some conversations with the director about, again, how we could use the site to make sure that we were meeting those privacy standards.
Yeah.
And the ASTECs were the crucial part of that.
Yeah.
Without them, the site wouldn't be working, and we wouldn't be at the point where we are, where we're able to. We presented at EduTech just recently on how we managed to get through with that.
Yeah.
And the fact that we took it from 2.6 days it took for me to normally get to a student.
It's 1.4?
1.4, 1.2. I can't remember the exact number.
Awesome.
Which at a teenager's time in life, if they're at that crucial point and they're having some of those thoughts that I don't really like to talk about all the time, that can be the difference.
Absolutely.
And thankfully, the boys and the girls from the ASTEC Crew pretty well saved my grey hair at a point where it's still manageable.
Do you want to say anything else about Lockie, about what it was like to actually contribute to, the overall?
Have you actually thought about the difference that you made to our school? Have you actually sat down and gone, hang on a minute, we
what are you most proud of? What are you most proud of, Lockie?
I'm most proud of what's come actually from how little we started with just some data from a few computers to having a lot more funding, all this great tech that we can use at our school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being able to help people with the ASTECs with the Google form and everything. I know the school's completely changed from when I left. It used to be pretty tame. You used to be still writing in books. It's kind of like coming back to the future. The school looks like it's been taken over by Google.
Perfect.
It's great.
We did not ask him to say
Gotta say, that is not us. Now, I'm just bringing up the student engagement site. I've just taken a few things off.
Yeah, perfect.
So hopefully you guys can see that.
Yeah.
But this is our student engagement site, and this is a site which Tim can use as part of student engagement to make sure that people can get the resources we were talking about. Yeah. So you've got the student resources, which is stuff for the kids.
Yeah. Staff
resources, which is specific for the staff.
So that's where the staff can fill in their student-focused referrals. If they've got an issue with, or not an issue, but if they know that a kid in their homeroom is going through a bit of stuff, they can fill in the Google form. It's quick, it's easy. I get the data instantly, and then I can get my team actioning it. Because some of those things, some of the little issues, they fester. And then at a school the size of ours, once a few people start talking about it and things get out, it can turn into a bit bigger of a thing than it really needs to be. So building the staff capacity in a way that they're helping me by not trying to just catch me in a corridor and say, oh, hey, Tim, so-and-so's got this issue going on. And obviously with that comes potentially people overhearing that. Me, more than likely 90% of the time, forgetting the conversation as I'm probably running off to try and fix something else.
Yeah.
this has really been a game changer. And again, the Aztecs came through on this. I think the first prototype version they actually sent it through to me was for the launch of it at EduTech in Brisbane last year, and I think it came through at 3:30 a.m. on a Monday morning because I needed it, and the boys just dug in deep, and
that's
girls.
The culture you created.
So Lockie was a big part of creating that culture of just, we need to do it to help the team out. So and that's phenomenal. You can't ask for more than that in a high school setting to get kids to help each other out. So really proud of the guys with that.
We're really proud of them. And look, guys, if there's any questions you'd like to ask of us, please shoot them through.
Yeah, shoot them through on here. Or also, you can hit us up on Twitter as well. We'll be live for a few hours on there.
We love Twitter. And again, I really want to give credit to Lachlan. Lachlan's representing the team here. We would have had them all here if we could, but they, they're now full class.
Yeah. So
and want to give credit to the students for work they do. It's really made our lives, both as someone who is working in student engagement and pastoral care, and someone who's working in technology, a lot easier. And I suppose I want to finish by really reiterating that point, that just really, I suppose, channel into that student passion. Okay, the co-design work was important. The design thinking was important, but what was most important was the passion existed there in the students, and we were able to channel that and resource that. I should also give them a plug too. A number of them are now Google certified level 1.
Yeah, they are.
And so they're going to be chasing up, us with their Google certificate. In fact, I think some of them are more certified than us. Probably. Anyway, that's fine. We won't go into that, but it is really important for us to continue to give the kids authentic recognition for their work. They've been doing the Google certification. We've now hooked up some work experience. Actually, this is some of the stuff that happened after you've left, mate. Yeah. Some work experience with the CSIRO, and they actually got to do some work with Google. Had to sign an NDA and worked with Google US on a prototype for a screen sharing product. Jeez.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I'm most proud of, is that the students got to do real authentic work in Aztecs, and then from that into our classroom. So, look, do you want to? I'm going to let you finish, Lockie. You're the star of the show. You finish.
Yeah.
What would you say to the people out there who are thinking of doing something like Aztecs at their school?
It's great. I mean, being able to take like 2 teachers and doing all this work and like spreading it out above a ton of students who are passionate about what they do, and allowing them to do this, actually fueling the passions they already have.
Yeah, perfect.
And so they get to, it's having an elective like the Aztecs allows people that otherwise wouldn't get a chance to be invested in tech to do so at our school. Like before, we never really had a class where we could, it was pure tech where we could nerd out and do all the Google stuff together. So it's been really good at this school. And I think it's going to be really beneficial to the people that are in the Aztec class to learn more about information technology and how we can use it. Yeah. Because that's a big part at college these days, being able to use information technology and, taking those skills and being able to turn it into a job in the future.
Yeah, perfect.
Has it set you up a bit for your learning that you're doing?
What's the assignment you just told us about that you just
building? This is amazing.
This is wild.
We're going to finish with this.
This is the
Lockie, tell us about the assignment you've just been working on.
All right, so I've just been working on a Stalkerbot at the moment. So it's only working in one direction, going back and forth. But by the end of the year, hopefully it should be following you around and carrying a payload in the back of it, like a little wagon. So using a phone's accelerometer and all the other sensors on it to be able to track you and follow you around with your stuff.
So effectively, Mr. Thompson and I, by the end of the year, will have a Stalkerbot each to carry our stuff around at work.
A virtual Aztec.
A virtual Aztec.
An Aztec robot to do my. So not only do my work for me, you can carry my work for me as well. Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. Like I said,
guys.
Please hit us up if you've got any questions. We are watching them live, and if there's anything that you think of later, hit us up on Twitter. We're more than happy to connect in at any point. Thanks so much.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, guys.
Just a massive shout out. I'm just going to mute you for a second. Sorry, guys. A massive shout out to the guys for a wonderful presentation. I do just want to pull this comment out that's come from the chat, which is from Tony telling us it's a wonderful presentation. It's the perfect 21st century digital education by and for and with students. It's a case study of the best and most helpful, which I think is just such a beautiful thing to say. And Tony is brilliant. He says it's brilliant and inspiring, and he's going to try it next in his school next term. So wonderful presentations from you guys. Thank you so much. Can I get anyone who is watching live now, or more likely the people who are watching the recording, The feedback form is just in the description underneath the video, and that's where we take your feedback on what you want to see in these webinars. We know that, you know, so the live views we get on, especially at the end of a semester when people are doing semester reports and all that kind of stuff, are low, but then our YouTube hits are massive. So we know you guys are really enjoying the content. The more you can tell us about it, then the more we can really cater for what you want to do. So I'm just going to say, on behalf of everyone who is watching and who will be watching this video, a huge shout out to Amaroo School, and in particular to Ian, Tim, and mostly to Lucky for putting up with these two over the time and really saving their skin, I think, innumerate times. So thank you very much, guys. I can unmute you. And
thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's been a privilege. We love your work, and yeah, thanks again for the opportunity.
Sweet, and thanks for the shout out. It's been great.
Thank you.
Okay, see you guys. Bye.
Catch up.